let's get to our number one stories, shall we? Today's number is... Sound effect, please. Hello? Today's number is 1. This is... timing. Don't forget, you're listening to the most professional Christian radio program on this station at this time.
Where do we find that guy?
we need a new... Hey, what are you doing here? And speaking of you, as long as you brought yourself up, happy anniversary, anniversary. It's number 18 today.
It is. How'd you find out? You spying on me?
Well, I hear rumors on the internet. Lots of rumors on the internet, actually. Congratulations, 18 years. So it's working out?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
We're wading through.
All right, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Is marriage easier today at number 18, or was it easier the first year?
Oh, my goodness. I think it was easier the first year.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
More money. And, as you grow older, you success, your jobs get better, more income brings more problems.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
We were happier when we had nothing.
We could arrange that, Jimmy.
Please don't.
I see. That's funny because the money thing is a much bigger issue than most people realize when they get married. It can be a source of so much consternation inside of a marriage. Arguing over finances. What do we do? How do we spend? How do we save? And especially if times are tight and it gets thin, that can put a stressor on a marriage. But I've discovered after 30 years, I would say now it's easier because we've got stuff worked out.
Yeah.
I'm dismissing the money thing for just a second. We just have things worked out. We figured out a lot of stuff about one another. And we've learned the lesson that most people never figure out before they say I do. And that is marriage is work.
Oh, for sure.
It's hard work, but it is a polisher. It will either polish you or it will rub you raw. One or the other. You can choose whichever you prefer it to be. If you want to grow in godliness, work on your marriage. If you don't, then don't. And then you'll just get annoyed because you're living with another sinner. Who wrote the book, What Did You Expect? Is a good marriage book. I can't recall the author on that. What did you expect? It's basically letting you know in advance that blushing bride is a sinner, and that handsome groom is totally depraved. Now you're going to live together. And it sometimes looks less like a fairy tale and more like Halloween 3 if you do not get some things worked out in advance. Now, a lot of unprofessional radio talk show hosts at this time would give a plug for Drive-By Biblical Marriage and the Study Guide, which will focus on this very thing. To me, this is key. If you cannot see each other as sinners who have been saved, and your role together is to help one another get to the finish line, more fit for heaven, well, as the pagans would say, good luck. Let's get to our number one stories, shall we? The Evangelical Lutheran Church in America. They've had a first transgender bishop. Listen, can you hear Martin Luther spinning in his grave like a lathe right now? The Evangelical Lutheran Church has, I'm afraid, been, and we don't say this glibly or that sure seems like a rush to judgment. No, this has been going on for decades, that the ELCA has been absolutely apostate. While there's no doubt there's enough literature, at least, and a Bible in the pews that somebody can get saved, this is a denomination that has been a goner for a long time. The new bishop, he's a man who believes that he's a woman. By the way, speaking of this confusion, believe it or not, I was watching a Bill Maher clip. I don't know why. I find myself seeing him more these days than ever before because he keeps popping up in conservative news feeds. Look, Bill Maher gets it, which is really, if you've ever wanted to be in the Twilight Zone, we're in it right now. And Bill Maher was talking about the new words that are used. And that specific, it was a tweet from AOC. And AOC was scolding people who were assuming that only women have the ability to menstruate. Men can too. Duh, don't you get it? All right. Well, we know better than that because a man does not have those parts in order to produce that. But because they are firmly committed to the idea that if you just say you're that, then that's what you are, they're now claiming that a man can menstruate. And don't forget, he can get pregnant too. So I was thinking to myself, if that's the case, if men can get pregnant, does that mean we get to talk about abortion now? After all, it's no longer just a woman's issue, is it? So I guess the game is on and we can talk about the life issue again, which we should be talking about a lot because never before has the baby in the womb been more under assault. Encourage you, support preborn.org/wretched, preborn.org/wretched, because they are actually on the ground level doing things to save babies' lives in a culture that is increasingly committed to killing our own children. This man who believes that he's a woman will lead one of the church's 65 synods, overseeing nearly 200 congregations in Northern California and Northern Nevada. So it looks like plenty of influence for this fella. Quote, "My call is to be up to the same messy, loving things I was up to before." Messy? Messy. Isn't that a cute word? "My installation will celebrate all that is possible." This is going to hurt, Christian. "My installation will celebrate all that is possible when we trust God to shepherd us forward." Well, what you're trusting is maybe your feelings, but it certainly isn't God and his word. How much more clear does it need to be? So they, because that's the preferred pronoun, became one of 7 LGBTQ pastors accepted by the Evangelical Lutheran Church in 2010 after it allowed ordination of pastors in same-sex relationships. This man who believes he's a woman is married and has 2 children. I'm sure everyone is thriving. The ELCA, while dwindling as quickly as a denomination can wither and die, still has 3.3 million members. Number 1, in tourism, in Kentucky. Do you know who it is? Go ahead, guess. I'll bet you can, now that I've kind of set it up like this. The number 1 tourist destination in Kentucky, it ain't the whiskey shop or whatever they call it, the distillery, I guess. The Hooch store. No, it's not the place where they do that. It is Answers in Genesis. The Creation Museum and the Ark are the number 1 tourist destinations in all of Kentucky. That means they're bringing a lot of money into the state of Kentucky because most people come from outside of the state of Kentucky. If you have never been to either the Ark or to the Creation Museum, I encourage you to get there. Spend a day at each place, easily, a day at each place. Then you'll be able to read stuff and learn a ton. Congratulations to Answers in Genesis. There were a number of naysayers, perhaps not so much with the Creation Museum, but definitely with the Ark. You're building a big boat in the middle of Kentucky, and people are going to come see it? Yeah, in droves. Congratulations to China. They're number 1, sadly, in a lot of things these days. Mobile users in China ranked number 1 for time spent on mobile apps in the first quarter of 2021, followed by India, then Brazil, and then the United States. We're spending more time gaming, looking at stuff because of COVID-19. The kids are staying home, etc. Nevertheless, it is China that's number one in staring at their electronic device. The reason that I know that statistic is because it is inside of a different headline that says China moves to limit social media, gaming as teens get more addicted, and mental health is impacted. Man, when the Chinese see it, it does affect kids. And the whole self-esteem and their body image issues, it's real. They feel it. They're very self-aware at that age, and when they don't measure up to what they're seeing online, they get very, very depressed, and I think it is just one of the contributors to the increasing number one cause of death among teenagers: suicide. This is Wretched Radio.
Houston, I think we have a few problems here.
Go ahead, Wretched One.
Besides the fact I'm wearing a cardboard helmet, Houston, you have got one of the biggest false teachers in the universe. Are you kidding? He is so rich.
How rich is he, Wretched One?
I can see his house from here.